I lost my phone 2 days ago while out for a jog. It must have slipped from my pocket. Luckily, I got an email from a kind stranger the next day telling me they had my device. The person who found my phone wanted to meet me in the park. I asked if I could just swing by somewhere to pick it up, but they insisted in their email that they would be at the park on a bench near the fountain. So I pulled on my jacket and headed out into the snow. There was a woman waiting for me. She sat on the bench next to a frozen fountain. I stopped and watched her. The woman seemed familiar, but I couldn't place her. Early 30s, black hair, attractive features half hidden by a cap and scarf. She looked my way. I waved and walked over, boots crunching the fresh powder. "Hello," I said, flashing my best game show smile. "You found my phone?" Blue eyes regarded me from under a dark wool cap. "Sit down for a second, Jeremy." My grin started to dip, but I pinned it in place. "Sure," I joined the stranger on the bench. "No offense, and I truly appreciate you finding my phone, but I'm in a bit of a... You don't remember me?" Should I? The woman looked away. "Of course you wouldn't recognize me." She sighed and stood up. "Hey," I said. "I'm sorry. I've got a terrible memory. If you could just give me back the phone, you can have the phone back when you remember my name." I felt an ember of anger start to grow in my stomach. This psycho dragged me all the way out to a park in the snow, and now she's playing games. "Listen, lady, I'm sorry, I don't know who you are. Just give me my phone back and we're done here." She ignored me and began to walk away, hands in her pockets. "Hey, I'm talking to you," I shouted, hurrying after her. I reached out for her shoulder. Before I could touch her, the woman turned and sprayed me with something she had in her hand. The pain was immediate and stunning. My entire face felt like I'd plunged into a pot of boiling water. I lost sight of the world as my eyes swelled and watered. I struggled to breathe. I'd heard stories about pepper spray, but always chalked it up to exaggeration. If anything, stories about getting sprayed didn't do the compound justice. I screamed and curled up on the ground, pawing at my face. Eventually, I crawled off the path. I wiped snow across my face, trying to wash away the remaining pepper spray. By the time I was able to see more than a burning blur, the woman was gone. After I got back to my apartment, all I wanted to do was shower and go to bed. But I wasn't going to let that bitch in the park get away with stealing my phone and assaulting me. I opened my laptop. The girl was familiar. My first thought was that we knew each other in college or high school. I fired up Facebook. "What the fuck?" I growled. I couldn't get into my account. Facebook kept telling me my password was wrong. I logged into a backup account that I used to keep tabs on people that blocked me. When I searched for my own profile, I almost choked. Someone was posting insane status updates pretending they were me. Threatening family and friends, shit-talking the government, even my boss. "Jesus Christ," I whispered. That woman was trying to ruin my life. I needed advice. I opened up Zoom on the computer and called my best friend Barry. I could tell by his expression when he answered that he'd seen the crazy posts on my Facebook. "Are you okay, dude?" he asked. "I'm not doing that. It's that psycho from the park, the one that found my phone. She won't give it back. She's fucking with me." "Why?" I threw my hands up. "Dude, I don't fucking know. She says we know each other, but I can't remember her. She won't give me back the phone until I figure out her name." "Describe her." "White, black hair, blue eyes, about 5'2", around our age. She'd be kinda cute if she wasn't actively trying to sabotage my life. Wait, I got an email. Shit, it's from her." Barry was practically vibrating in his seat. Read it. "Have you figured it out yet?" the email began. "If not, here's a clue. I thought the world of you, and you ruined my life. All I wanted was for you to like me, but you cost me everything. Did you make the last high school reunion? I looked for you." There was an attachment to the email. It was a screenshot of my bank account. She'd logged on using my phone and drained it all. My bank password was saved right on the device. All of my information. "Fuck!" I shouted, punching the table. Barry whistled. "She's not playing around. It sounds like a jilted lover, my man." "Who did you date in high school?" "Who didn't I date?" Barry winked. "Sly dog. Well, think hard. She said you meant the world to her and... Hey, hold on a second, someone's at the door." I saw Barry leave the screen to answer his door. "Can I help?" he said. A loud buzzing sound interrupted him. There was a crash. "Barry?" I asked. The woman from the park walked into view and sat down. "Hi, Jeremy," she said. "What did you do? What is going on? Come to Barry's place. If you call the police, I'll be gone before you get here. You'll never know why this is happening. Come alone. Hurry." She closed the computer, ending the Zoom. Calling the cops was my first instinct, but if the woman disappeared on me, I'd be fucked. My bank account, my social media. I kept a gun in the top of my closet, a small revolver I'd inherited from my dad. This didn't know who she was messing with. I took a cab to Barry's, then went around back to the alley. The woman was expecting me to come in the front door. Instead, I climbed the ladder on his fire escape. Barry never locked his windows, just in case any of our buddies needed to stay over without his asshole landlord interrogating them in the hall. His apartment was dark when I reached his floor. I slid the window open carefully. No sign of anybody. I slipped into the room, took 2 steps, then felt a pinch in my neck. The floor rushed up to meet me. When I woke up, the apartment was bright. "Awake, sleepyhead?" a voice asked from behind me. I tried to turn, but I was duct taped to the chair I was sitting in. The woman from the park walked into view. Without her coat and scarf, she looked even more familiar, but I still didn't remember her. "What's my name?" she asked. "Where's Barry?" The woman shook her head. "You still don't know. It would be sad if it wasn't so infuriating." "Why are you doing this?" I snarled. "Who are you? What did I do to you?" The stranger pulled over a chair from the kitchen and sat across from me. "I used to think you were all so cool," she said. "I idolized you. All of you. God, you and Barry were like princes in high school. Star athletes, bright smiles, and fast cars. And the girls around you, so glamorous. I was a mess in those days, a background character in a show you all starred in. I just wanted to be your friend, to be like you. I tried so hard to get you to notice me. So when you finally asked me to go with you to a party, it was the best day of my life." A memory paced at the edge of my awareness. A face. A name. The woman leaned closer. She smelled like vanilla and dust. "Do you remember yet?" she asked. I shook my head. "Max Baker's graduation party," the woman continued. "We all went. I was so flattered to be included. We talked all night, you and me. We even danced. And then those red and blue lights filled up the windows. The cops came in. You and Barry slipped off into the bathroom with the white powder. You wanted me to try, but I wouldn't. And when the police came rolling in and they searched us, where do you think they found the drugs?" Cassidy. The name hit me like a brick. It slithered into my mind along with a face. The woman's face, only 15 years younger. "Cassidy," I said. She smiled. "Now you remember. You put the drugs in my purse. You, or maybe Barry. It doesn't matter. Either way, I was the one that got to spend the night in jail. I was the one who had to find a lawyer, to beg my parents to believe me. They didn't. You cost me everything. I lost my scholarship, my family thought I was a junkie, and the worst part, none of you bothered to reach out. You used me and threw me away and didn't even remember doing it. I'm sorry," I whispered. "I was young." "So was I," Cassidy said. She stood up and walked over to me, getting behind my chair, turning it so I could see the kitchen. Barry lay on the tile floor in a puddle of blood. My revolver was on the ground between us. "The neighbors heard the gunshot," Cassidy said, pulling a syringe from her pocket. "Police are on their way. I'm going to give you another dose, then untie you. And then, I'll leave the same way you came in. When the cops get here, they're going to wonder why your friend was shot with your gun. And, of course, you did threaten to kill him on Facebook." "I'm sorry," I said again. I felt the needle enter my neck. "I know," Cassidy said. "I woke up in a jail cell, groggy and disoriented. There was no sign of Cassidy. I immediately called my lawyer. We were able to meet, and he told me that I'm facing charges of attempted murder. Barry survived the gunshot, but is lingering in a coma. If he wakes up, he can tell the police what really happened, but if he dies, I'll be in serious trouble. All I can do now is wait." I always enjoyed riding the subway to and from work. Each day was a new experience. Sometimes those experiences were ugly. Once I watched two women fight over a handbag until one of them smashed a glass bottle into the other's cheek. There was so much blood. I remember it splattering against the window like rain. Another time, a homeless man sat down in the seat across from me, looked me in the eye, pulled out what looked suspiciously like a human ear, and began to chew. I saw that man often on the train. Eventually, he faded into the background. It was wild, but I could tune it all out by focusing on my laptop. That computer was my life. I did most of my work there, played games, watched movies. I was even writing a screenplay. My whole world was on that laptop. So, you can imagine how devastated I was the morning I left it on the subway. You gotta understand that I was distracted. I was getting a phone call just as we arrived at my stop. It was Jane. "Hey, I'm so glad you called me back," I said, squeezing through the crowd at the subway door. "I'm sorry, babe. I promise that You were so pathetic. You know that, Dan?" Jane said. "My mom was right about you. I'm gonna give you another chance, but from now on, you are on thin ice." Babe, you won't be sorry. Shit. I was standing at the bottom of the stairs that would take me to the street. It had taken me that long to realize that the familiar weight of my laptop bag was missing from my shoulder. "Dan, is everything okay?" "I have to call you back. Sorry." I hung up and ran back just in time to see the train pulling away into the tunnel. Shit. I raced up the stairs. The street was full of rushing figures and traffic. I hailed the first cab I could catch and told them to hurry to the next stop for the subway. We made it as the train was pulling in, but when I searched the car, my laptop was missing. The rest of the morning was a blur. I made it into the office late. My asshole boss, Henry, stopped by and pulled me from my fog. "Hey, I noticed that you didn't copy me on that email to the board," Henry said, leaning against the wall of my cubicle. "We're not supposed to do that," I muttered. "I don't give a shit what the company wants you to do." Henry leaned in, breath smelling like eggs and something sweeter, maybe rum. "No backtalk. When I tell you to jump, all you need to do is ask me off what bridge. Next time, copy me on the damn email. Now smile. You look so damn sour." I gritted my teeth as Henry walked away, swallowing everything I wished I could say to him. There was a notification blinking on my screen when I turned back to my monitor. It was an email. From myself. It was in my work inbox, sent from my personal account. The subject line read, "Why do you put up with it?" There was no text in the body of the email, but there was an attachment. I opened it and gasped. It was a picture of me at my desk with Henry looming over me. Someone must have taken it from the office only moments ago. And if they sent it through my personal email account... "My laptop," I hissed. Someone found it that morning, and they were using it to mess with me already. Hell, they were stalking me if they were in my office. I stood up, peeking over the top of my cubicle like a meerkat. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. No strange, shadowy figures lurking by the copier. Another email came in from my account. "I'm going to help you." Again, only a subject line, no message and no attachment this time. I stood up and scanned the room. No sign of Henry. I decided to slip out, staying low until I made it to the elevator. When I got home, I locked and bolted my door. I hadn't seen anyone following me, but whoever had my laptop would already know my address. It was probably how they found my office. Everything about me really was on that computer. I needed time to think, to plan, and I needed a fucking drink. I was in the middle of mixing a whiskey and Coke when my phone began to buzz. "You're such a fucking asshole," Jane yelled as soon as I picked up. "Jane, wait, what? I don't understand. Why?" "I saw the message you sent me on Instagram. If you're gonna break up with me, have the decency to do it in person. And how dare you tell me it's my fault for nagging you? I was trying to help you. You were so... Wait, did you just send me another message now? Jane, no, don't open it. I lost my... You asshole! Well, if you were so in love with my sister, you go ahead. You two deserve each other." "Jane, that wasn't me. Someone hacked my account and... Jane? Are you there?" She'd hung up. I picked my drink up, spilling some from a shaky hand. The bastard who stole my laptop was pretending to be me and ruining my life. Thump, thump, thump. Boom, boom, boom. My neighbors were at it again, blasting their music at full volume. It wasn't even 11 a.m. I debated knocking on their door and asking them to turn it down, but last time I tried, they just laughed. My phone buzzed again, an email this time from me. "You can do better than Jane." "Fuck you, give me back my laptop," I replied. A few minutes passed before I got a new message. "He's so mean." The email had an attachment, another picture. I opened it and felt the drink slip from my hand. It shattered on the kitchen floor. I recognized the bathroom. It was the men's room from my office. Henry was sitting on the toilet in the handicap stall. Someone had gutted him, slitting his beer belly open so that his guts poured onto his lap. "Oh, God," I whispered. I felt sick. I wanted to crawl under my sink and find peace in silent darkness, but my neighbor's music was so loud my dishes were shaking in the sink. Suddenly, the music stopped. There was a knock at my door. Before I could take a step towards the door, another email came in. "It's time we talk." I stood in the kitchen staring at the door to my apartment. The knock came again. I took a deep breath, grabbed a butcher knife from the block on the counter, and walked to the door. When I opened it, a small man with white hair and a black mustache was looking at me. He was wearing my laptop bag. "Mind if I come in?" the man asked. "I think I have something that belongs to you." He looked so familiar, but I couldn't place him. Sure." I held out my hand for the laptop, but he only smiled and shook his head before walking in. "Not yet," he told me. We stood in my living room, him with a little grin, me trying to push down a panic attack. "Mind if I sit down, Dan?" the man asked. I nodded. "Wait, how do you know my name?" He lifted the laptop bag. "Oh yeah," I said. "It's nice to see you somewhere other than the subway, Dan. You look good. Healthy. Have we met some?" The connection hit me like a thunderbolt. The homeless man, the one who'd looked at me in the eye when he'd started snagging on body parts. The frequent passenger. He looked much better shaved and showered. The man smiled wider. "Ah, now you see it. Why are you messing with my life?" His smile disappeared. "Messing with your life, Dan? I'm saving you, fixing you. Christ, you let the whole world walk over you, then apologize when they get your blood on their boots." "That's not true," I mumbled. "Sure it is. I've watched you for so long. I'm not homeless. I'm sure you thought that. I'm actually wealthy, Dan. So wealthy that I've gotten bored with my own life. Now my hobby is helping others put their lives right." "You caused Jane to dump me," I whispered, "and my boss. Jesus, what you did to Henry." "Technically, you dumped Jane. Well, me as you, but let's not split hairs. She didn't respect you. As for Henry, that sneering asshole was holding you back. With him gone, your office is going to need to fill that job, right? A promotion would do you good, and boy, do you deserve it." "This is crazy. This is all just... You killed a person." The man chuckled. "More than one person, Dan, much more. Come with me." Without waiting to see if I was behind him, my strange visitor walked out of my apartment. Feeling caught in his pull, I followed. The door to my neighbor's apartment was open. The scene inside reminded me of the time I saw a semi-truck run into an elk on the highway. Blood everywhere, soaked into the rug, dripping from the ceiling. What was left of my two neighbors was piled on the couch. The radio was broken in half. "Give me 6 months," the small man said. 6 months and I will help you get your life on track. No one will ever walk over you again, I promise. Or I can give you this computer back and you can return to being weak and scared." I thought about it for a long time, staring at the wet, red smears that used to be my obnoxious neighbors. My dad used to beat me with a belt whenever I got anything less than an A in school, I told the stranger. He never apologized. I haven't spoken to him in years. But I still know where he lives. The small man smiled.